We're going live. We're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Go find us at our website, hollywoodmatrimony.com. Also on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Hive at
.com.
hollywoodmatter.com. No, Hollywood Matter. Some
Did
of
you
them are
yell
Hollywood.
Hive? Is that what I just heard?
Yes, and Hive.
Although
It's
I will
back
warn
up,
you now,
okay.
Hive is down.
Is it down again?
It's never come back up yet.
Oh.
The only thing that's changed, they were doing maintenance. They discovered some sort of a security thing, so they were updating everything. It's still a new platform. It's basically like Instagram. One thing I like about Hive so far that I've seen, outside of it being down for a few days, is the links that you put on there are clickable.
Nice.
Where in Instagram they're just files, and you have to do a whole rigmarole to make it work.
You have to go to the thing.
So if you haven't got a Hive account or looking into Hive, you can't get into it. That's why right now everything did repopulate. So when you go into all the stuff that we put on there so far is there, I just can't post anything yet. So I'm hoping maybe this week it'll be back up.
Well, there you go.
But that's what happens when you're on a new platform of some sort.
It's okay. We're giving them a chance. Maybe they will keep the crazies off their platform.
Well, we'll see.
All right, friends. As always, we have a variety of movies to talk about. And as always, I'm eating on the show because I'm a snacker.
What?
I did not put these in a good order at all.
Yeah, just randomly.
Let's go. Let's start with.
This was the oldest.
This one?
Because that came out in October.
Let's talk about that then.
All right, you want me to hit that one?
Yeah, let's get on this.
All right, so let me get myself situated here.
Let me share my screen so you can see what we're talking about this week.
All right, so first up is actually an older film. When I say older, just back in October. It's not like old. But it's Wendell and Wild, which is the latest film from Henry Selick.
You can tell by that art right there.
Henry Selick is the director of Nightmare Before Christmas, Coraline, and James and the Giant Peach. He teamed up with Jordan Peele.
Oh, yeah.
It's based on a book. Let me pull my review. I want to make sure I give you the right name.
And I just put a link to the review in the chat.
It's based on a book that was an unpublished novel.
Oh.
That Henry Selick co-wrote with Clay McLeod Chapman. But I guess instead they brought it to life.
That's cool.
And it's another stop motion animation that is,
you can tell.
The only CGI is really just to enhance certain things. It's actually really good.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it weird?
It
like
is and it isn't.
Weird.
It is and it is. It's that same vibe where it's kind of a horror meets
just creepy
family. Bizarre nature. There's the look of the characters I didn't really like at first. There's a lot more sharper edges to them.
Yeah.
That almost give them a Picasso vibe at some point. But after a while, they kind of grew on me. And what I thought was interesting is, so Keegan-Michael Key and Jordan Peele both do voices.
Nice.
They are Wendell and Wild. And James Hong, who's the old guy, the Asian guy that's been in everything.
Yes,
that's that finally got his
star.
He plays a priest, right? Their three characters look like them. Although they don't look like them, but like if you look at it, you can completely tell that that's Jordan Peele and Keegan-Michael Key. If you see James Hong even more, so you can tell it's him.
Cute.
So I thought that was an interesting twist. But the premise here, I'll read you the synopses.
Okay.
It follows two scheming demon brothers, Wendell and Wild, who enlist the aid of a 13-year-old Cat Elliott to summon them to the land of the living. Basically, what happens is she loses her parents, and then kind of goes down a bad path. And then she becomes older and finds out she has some abilities. And then she's at like a boarding type school. There's nuns and priests, which you never know what direction we're going to have to go with these nuns and priests. And sometimes they're made to be the most evil in comparison to everything else.
Never know.
But there's more to this place than you think. So you're bouncing between worlds, between this demon world with Belzer, or Balzar or something like that. I thought it was Beelzebub, and then I realized it wasn't. Berzar or something like that. But it's a character voiced by Ving Rhames.
Is it the Bazor? Because that was in an episode of Buffy.
It could be.
It's like demon eggs.
It could be that. But what's interesting is he's got a circus, right? Like this demon circus in hell, but it's attached to his belly. So he's laying on there, and all these people live on him. And so Wendell and Wild find... they're trying to build their own carnival, and they're trying to do their own thing. They're his sons, and they realize the simple part of, without spoiling too much, is one of their jobs is they're sitting and pushing this, like there's like this creature looking thing. They're moving and they're pulling thing. It's like a tube. It looks like a toothpaste tube.
Yeah.
It's dropping cream, and then something grows. You find out it's a hair cream to this demon, and it says a hair on his head, and they're walking on his head.
What?
Right?
This is
but
so
they find
weird.
out it is, but they find out that can bring things back to life.
Oh,
So
okay.
they make a connection with her, and she wants to bring her parents back to life. And we know that never goes wrong. And then there's conspiracy about this prison that's being built, and this like fire that happened, and this town that's dead. And so there's all these layers. It's a really, really good movie. I really liked it.
Okay, I'll watch it.
It is a little weird. It is.
Coraline was creepy to me, so that's my baseline of.
It's like that, but not as dark.
It's just those button eyes.
Yeah, Coraline, I think, is a brilliant movie.
It is great. It's just scary.
But and ironically enough, Coraline on the December 13th, which I'll be posting a review for it soon, is coming out on 4K for the first time.
Okay, cool. I'll watch
through Shout Factory.
Shout.
Who they're also releasing Paranorman on 4K. They're not both Henry Selick movies, but Coraline and Nightmare Before Christmas, they have the same aesthetic.
The vibe.
You know, this one has that, but it's a little different. And one thing I liked, and it's funny, as I wrote the review, then I was reading an interview from Henry Selick about making this movie, and he's like, one of the issues that he has with some of the stop motion animation now is people go in with CGI to clean it up. And he likes the raw look of it. Like when you watch those other ones, you see the outlines where the face disconnects, and you put on the next face to get the different facial expressions. So in this movie, those lines are still there.
Nice.
And the mouth doesn't always match, and that's part of the magic of that. I think of that art. Yeah. I love that. And so this had that old school vibe that, being a newer one, you think, like something like Flushed Away, which I don't think was CGI. I mean, don't think it was stop motion. I think it was CGI. But either way, it had the same look, but was too smooth. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
So this, I don't want to give too much outside of that away, but this movie I really dug it. Jordan Peele co-wrote it with Henry Selick, putting it together. It's got a great voice cast. It also, like I said, has Ving Rhames, Angela Bassett. They all bring some great characters. It's dark. It's kind of funny. It's creepy. It's heartfelt. It's got all those things that Coraline and Nightmare Before Christmas both had.
Cool.
So if you like either one of those, it's not exactly the same vibe. And to me, the finished product isn't up there with those, but it is a great film in that kind of vibe. So check it out. It's exclusively on Netflix. It came out back in October. It's one of those movies that I would have loved to see it on a big screen, but I'm glad that it got any kind of release.
Yeah, that's cool.
So hopefully this will spark some kind of deal for Henry Selick with Netflix, because he's got this Shadow King movie or something he's been wanting to make forever and still hasn't gotten made. So I'm hoping maybe this will help it out. So Wendell and Wild, available on Netflix. Check it out if you like stop motion animation. I had really liked this movie.
Okay, should we go here?
Sure.
That's kind of the next. All right, so this is one that we missed when it originally came out. I was so upset because I did want to see it. I didn't
think you were that concerned with seeing this one.
Well, I like Christian Bale. Margot Robbie, I'm hit and miss. I'm always hoping it's whatever that's not Margot Robbie, because I like her better.
From Ready or Not?
Yes, and then John David Wilson, who we all know and like.
Do we all know him?
I think we do. From his singing. Is he a singer?
No, he's Denzel Washington's son.
Oh.
He's the guy that was on Ball. I don't know who you're talking about.
No, I don't know that.
He's the one that's in Ballers. There was a football player with a beard.
Yes.
And he was also in that
that was crazy
Christopher Nolan movie with Robert Pattinson, where they were the two guys in kind of the time travel thing.
That was weird too.
That was the name of that movie.
It
was big during the pandemic.
Time travel.
It's not really time travel, but I think it is.
I think it was time travel.
What was the name of that movie?
What's his name?
John David Washington.
No, the other guy.
Robert Pattinson. It's that Christopher Nolan movie that's really loud.
Yeah.
The sound effect. Tenet is the name.
That was weird because that whole scene where it went backwards, the sound was backwards, and then people were confused.
Yeah, and that one
you couldn't hear it anyway. And then once I figured it out, then someone's like, "Was it backwards?" I'm like, "Yes, it's backwards. You're not crazy." That was weird.
And that was a big movie that still got released during the pandemic.
Yes, and we went to go see it at the theater. I kind of miss the pandemic theater days because there's too many people now. It's too people-y.
Yeah, well, I think part of it, we've talked about this on the show before, is like
just people.
Me, somebody who loved going to the movies all the time.
Yeah,
like I'd go by myself. We'd go together. I was going way before we met.
Yeah,
and I'd go late at night, earliest midnight screenings, anything you can kind of find, any kind of theater. I loved going. The pandemic killed it for me, and it's not the people really. It's not the thing. It's just I just realized I like not dealing with that.
With
I
people.
like, we built our home theater. It's not the home theater I'm hoping for, but it's still a
We can make
decent,
it
great
better.
home theater. I can't bitch about that because some people don't have it at all. And I never had it, so it's like
I'm complaining about my 100-foot screen in my room.
I know, right? And I'm not saying it to brag, but what it did is we were building stuff prior to the pandemic, our gym and this, and kind of designing things for our own life. And then it kind of happened. I realized I prefer watching at home in quiet, not having to listen to people talk, listen to their phones, watching people blind thing, paying a bunch of money for the food, and then just the annoyance, and then things going wrong. If something goes wrong at home, like I'm at home, it's annoying, but whatever. If something goes with the theater, you took the time to leave. You took time to.
Well, I think the worst too is like just what's happened to us recently, like being kicked out of the theater, or like you tried to order your food and they charged you, but there's no food.
Did you ever get that money back?
Yes, they did
come back. Okay.
But then things, I think what I am more concerned now with you is like if you have to get the headsets and it doesn't work and you have to go back and then that one doesn't work and you have to go
watch
again.
Subtitles at home and and I know these are all
it's very
these are all first world problems,
stupid
problems, but it's just got me where
I'm
like even my screenings and stuff.
I'm okay not leaving the house.
That's the other thing is we go to these press screenings and that's awesome, but I teach classes every single night, so for me to go I have to cancel something or I have to find someone to cover it. It becomes an ordeal. Then I have to drive over there, which like I know that's a stupid argument, but I don't like driving anywhere.
You never
so it's like a 30 to 40 minute drive to wherever they usually have the screenings, so it's just like ugh. So
anyways, because of all that, we didn't see this movie.
Yeah, there's so many movies that like I want to see on big screen, like the Marvel event movies.
Those you have to.
Transformers, big stuff like that I want to see, but everything else I'm fine with.
And I'm okay if we go like at 11 a.m. before anyone's there. Well, now they don't even have those showings anymore.
No, that's my problem. Is I used to catch a lot of stuff on Sunday morning at like 10, or 11 because I teach a class on Sunday at 3. So anything past that, I'm screwed. They don't have them anymore. Which I didn't check Alamo because now we're shifting to Alamo.
We're switching to Alamo.
And one of the movies we'll talk about, we saw at Alamo, and there was like 4:00 Friday afternoon. There was like 12 people there.
Beautiful.
It was awesome, except for the traffic driving home. But that was.
But that's okay.
Anyway, Amsterdam.
Now, where is this out? This is out on.
It is available now.
Okay.
I believe.
On the Dibbed.
Yeah, I believe it's on Blu-ray, DVD.
Okay.
4K. Yeah, it came out.
I was looking forward to this because what I was gonna say is I like Christian Bale, I like the other guy, Margot Robbie. I'm hit and miss, but what I think was attractive to me is it's weird and quirky looking. And it's like, all I knew was about 3 friends in the war. And I didn't really know what else was going to happen. But that was enough for me. And I think also because whatever, we're in a historic time period. I didn't know what time period or whatever. But the fact that we have a single lady hanging out with 2 dudes and one guy's a black guy, that was compelling to me. Because I'm like, there's a story here. Yeah. So I don't even know how to describe what this is about.
It's a David O. Russell movie who did Silver Linings Playbook, American Hustle, and it's kind of a quirky murder mystery? whodunit, war film,
friendship.
Yeah, there's a lot of layers to what this film is. And it's the kind of movie to me that you're either all in or you'll probably be thrown off by the first 30 minutes of it. Is you'll be like,
this is weird.
It's weird, and it's we had friends that saw it, and they were like, I liked it, but I don't know if I liked it. Yeah. And I need to go back. I haven't got to talk to him since I finally saw it to find out what his full thing was. Christian Bale's amazing in it. He's all in, and but again, you have to like Christian Bale. If you're annoyed by his
I can see being annoyed by him.
Huh?
I can see being annoyed by him in his face. Like I don't like that Dano guy.
Paul Dano.
Poor Paul Dano.
He's in a movie we're going to watch tonight.
I know. I'm sure you're lovely, but his face bothers me. I mean, it's
Paul Dano is such a brilliant actor, though, too. That's what kills it.
Margot Robbie's big hands.
You keep talking about that. I see her. I watch this movie, and all I can do is watch her hands, trying to see what you're seeing.
I think,
and I'm still seeing lady hands. I'm not.
No.
I'm envisioning you see these Frankenstein hands.
I see man hands.
I don't see any of that.
Anyways, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's one of these things. It's like it's a character piece.
Very. Guess what? It's a talkie.
It is a talkie, but it's funny.
It's intriguing.
It's heavy. It's like I said, a mystery. There's
they're solving a mystery, and it's these 3 friends who were together during the war. Then they go their own way, and then they kind of, through happenstance, find each other again. And I think one of the things that I found so interesting was they had made a friendship pact that we're going to be friends for life, right? No matter what. But
and
then
people make that, and usually it's like when you're a kid and say, hey, if me and you knew each other's kids, it's like, if we haven't married anybody by 30, we're getting married to each other. But that usually goes away.
Right. Or when, did y'all ever do the thing where y'all were blood brothers and you actually cut your hand and did that? That's so dangerous now.
I will not say if I did that or not, strictly because of the COVID, and I don't want people to be.
Oh, whatever. This was in the 70s. We didn't care about that stuff back then. But the interesting thing is they come back together and they kind of renew their friendship pact, you know? And to me, I thought that was just so compelling because I think in life there are so many few people that you can maintain like long friendships with. Like I still have a couple of people I talked to like from elementary school. You know, like the other day I posted something about my parents were like, your parents look exactly the same. I'm like, right, they're vampires. Just kidding. But, you know, there's those people that even if they come and go through your life, they are your friends. And so I found that compelling. And even in this time period where it wasn't appropriate for a single lady to maybe be friends on her own with two men.
Yeah.
Or to be friends with a black man. And that gets brought up during the movie. He's like, oh, you can't be seen associated with them. You know, so I found it so compelling. The other thing is that all three of them.
Well, you also, and there's something kind of you didn't gloss over, but that may not seem as important, but the white guy is kind of being shunned because he's not up to the class level of his lady.
That's the thing.
Like he goes to war because they think he's already a doctor, which isn't enough. They were like, go to war because if you get a few medals, you'll be classier and then you're kind of worthy.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they go over there and both of them are in an accident, which kind of, that part of that whole opening of seeing he's running a business or whatever, it kind of jumps around in time period.
Which I love.
And he makes the prosthetics. So when you're in that time period, they're like the whole like facial things that stick on your face with the fake eyes and they're painted on. I've always, ever since I think I saw that for the first time in Boardwalk Empire. And there's a character in there named, played by John Huston, I think. And yes, he is related to Angelica Houston. And I think he might be her son. I don't remember. Anyway, but he has this, the whole show, he's got one of these things on with a fake eye drawn on.
Yeah, it's nice.
And so this has got some cool prosthetics. But anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Anyways, what you say, since the three of them met during the war and they all served together in the war, I mean, I think that's one of those things too that bonds you. You know, you're bonded with those people.
You've seen some things.
Yeah, you've seen some things. You've been through some things together. Yeah, so then we come back to the States to more modern day, and there is, I just found this so crazy that we're at our time period is, we're at the very beginning of hearing about some dude named Hitler. We're at the very beginning, not really understanding the full impact of what's going to happen. Okay, this is before then. So that would have been the other war. Who knows? But so this is before then, and just to be in that history timeline of where the U.S. is like, what is this Aryan thing? What does that mean?
Well, that's the other thing you have to understand that I don't think we said. Is this movie is based loosely on a true story.
Yeah, which is crazy, by the way.
It's inspired by true events, but then obviously they're, let me see how it's labeled. So it's basically dealing with secret plots that happen and it's based on something that really happened.
Yeah.
But then it's kind of got some intertwining falsehoods.
Yeah.
So it's not the actual story, but
no, it's embellished. But that's what I'm saying. To be in that time period of we've just finished World War I, some crazy stuff's happening in Europe, but we don't understand what it is, and the U.S. is just barely starting to get information about. Hey, there's this guy. You know, and what about that Mussolini dude? And well, what about this Hitler dude? And what is this Aryan pamphlet?
They weren't dropping what does that mean in the movie?
No, but you know, we're at the very beginning of just even understanding and getting information on that. And then you got all of the secret groups working too, which I found so cool that it was in there. And the amount of people in this movie, the amount of big stars.
These three are the main stars, but there's like some of them have like blink and you'll miss it cameos. Other ones are just in it very few. So you have Zoe Saldana, who's barely in the movie.
No, but she's good.
Rami Malek, Anya Taylor-Joy, Mike Myers, not the killer, but the
comedian.
Austin Powers, Wayne's World guy.
He's much more than that.
You got Robert De Niro. You got Timothy Olyphant, who's almost unrecognizable.
Yeah, he looked great.
You got Michael Shannon.
The bug guy.
I love you. Got Chris Rock. Which is a funny story about the Chris Rock. I don't know if I told you this before, but I read a story when they were promoting this movie that they said that Christian Bale said he finally had to no longer communicate with Chris Rock on set because he couldn't stay in character because Chris Rock kept making him laugh.
Aww.
So he finally is like, I couldn't talk to him anymore
because he's method, right? He stays.
Yeah, he's sometimes, but he's hardcore into his thing.
He stays in it.
Not necessarily. I don't know if he's one of those that's like
you must refer to me by my character.
Abraham Lincoln or whatever his name is, who lives as that character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's like, Abraham Lincoln wouldn't have had a cell phone, so hence I don't have a cell phone.
Yeah, that's too much.
So anyway.
But no, this movie is just so good.
I really dug this movie.
Good.
It is a little slow at parts. I think it's a little longer than it might need to be, but it's engaging, it's interesting, it's funny, there's some depth to it that you believe the friendship.
Mm-hmm.
There's never this weird love triangle that they could have forced into it, because that's kind of the thing. I started getting worried because there's a moment where there's a kind of a budding relationship between two of the characters, and usually when you have a trio and one's a female, there's going to be, they usually feel the need to, the two guys have to butt heads for their fight for her love. And there's that element's there, but it's also them all wanting to the other person to be happy and be in love. And I see when like there's these two budding, the one's happy for them and the other one's struggling in the relationship, and they're like, we want to see you happy, forget them, you know.
Yeah.
And it's three people you believe could really be friends.
Yeah, I believe they're going to be friends forever now. But I think too, the other thing was, I think Rami Malek looks good in the 30s. I think that's his
He
time
looks
period.
like he belongs there.
Right.
Him and Anya Taylor-Joy both look like they belong
in
there.
the 30s. They just need
she
to
looks
stay
like
there.
she belongs there and in the Vikings. Because she was excellent in Northman
really good
as well.
Vikings, yeah. Anyway,
it's a quirky. I don't want you to know much about this movie because I think this is one of those good to know nothing and watch it and let it happen.
I agree. I'm glad I didn't know too much.
Yeah, I'd seen the trailer, but I'd kind of just moved on. I was more sold from the cast and David O. Russell. I didn't care what it was about. I wanted to see that. But yeah, it's one of those that if you just let the story happen, let it unfold, and like I said, there is a murder mystery with some twists and some historical facts. And
yeah,
I thought Mike Myers was awesome. Mike Myers was awesome in this.
He's so good.
Him and Michael Shannon are together, and they have some of the best banter of the whole movie.
I like him, and I don't know if people give him enough credit for his acting ability. I think that our default is to be like, oh, he's Wayne's World, because that's my default too. Right. But anytime he dresses up in a character and has facial prosthetics or whatever, he becomes who that is.
It was like the Gong Show when he was.
I loved that.
He played I don't remember the character's name now, but he was the host of this thing is this Englishman, and and he was never billed as Mike Myers, and so it was obvious it was Mike Myers to anybody that knows him. But he was great in the show, and you can buy into that character. And I know you have never seen this movie, and you keep saying you're going to watch it, and I don't think you ever watch it. But he has a similar role to this. But as like an English soldier general or whatever you want to call him in Inglourious Bastards. But he's got prosthetics and you can barely recognize him.
I think that's when he does his best.
He's a great actor. He's a great character. He's one of those that reminds me of Lon Chaney and the Man of a Thousand Faces kind of mentality of he disappears into whatever character he's playing with the prosthetics.
And that's what I love.
He can do comedy. He can do drama. He's kind of there, and I don't think we get to see enough of him.
Yeah.
But that might be by design. He may not want to do anything. You know, there's still rumblings that he's going to do Austin Powers 4. So we'll see.
I mean, why not do it?
I'll
watch it.
I love those movies. As
I'll
ridiculous as maybe not as good as the first one, but I love every one of them.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
I really like Goldfinger just because I like the Goldfinger character. It's just Goldmember or whatever it is.
Yeah, Goldmember. I don't care. I'll watch anything he does. So
anyway, I lied. Amsterdam comes out this week.
Okay.
On Blu-ray and DVD, but
catch it.
And 4K, whatever. But if you haven't heard of it or if you haven't seen it, just watch it blind. Don't go watch the trailer on our page. I don't say a lot in the review about the story, I don't think, but just let it happen. And you'll either love it or you won't. I think this is a gray area movie. I don't think this is
all right. Can we go to this one?
Yeah.
Because this looks so weird and I need to know.
Okay. So the next one is another one we kind of missed. Now, here's the thing is there was never a big discussion to watch this movie. I kept getting tons of PR for it. It's this movie called Bones&All. And I was getting a lot of trailer stuff for it. And I didn't share a lot of it, not because I was avoiding the movie. It's just I get sidetracked with other stuff. And I get tons of stuff bombarded. So I don't share as much as I should. I'm a one-man show here. If someone was assisting me, I could get more articles up. But that's not going to happen right now. But this one kind of went in under my radar until I started hearing everybody talk about how amazing it was.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is this movie about? So I'm going to tell you what it says here, and then I have to explain something else to you. So,
okay.
It says it follows Marin, a young woman learning how to survive on the margins of society, and Lee, an intense and disenfranchised drifter, as they meet and join together for a 1,000-mile odyssey, which takes them through the back roads, hidden passages, and trapdoors of Ronald Reagan's America. But despite their best efforts, all roads lead back to their terrifying past and to the final stand that will determine whether their love can survive their otherness.
Okay.
So when you hear about this, what do you think this movie's about?
I think it's about
Forget the trailer because now you've seen it. But
I think there's a young couple on a road trip of discovery. Maybe they fall in love.
that is exactly what this movie is about, except they eat people. And it's not a spoiler, that's in the trailer.
It's in the trailer.
And there's never really an explanation of why, but they're not alone.
Correct.
And it's not a horror film. It is a love story. It is it's a heavy movie. It's a dark, gritty movie. It's kind of dirty. It's very bloody. It's the kind of movie that had they taken all of that cannibalism style stuff out of the movie, it could have still been the exact same movie. That's what makes it unique, is it could have been this Romeo and Juliet road trip, love affair, dealing with their past, dealing with their family dramas, and not need any of this other stuff. It could have just been mental illness. It could have been an accidental murder. It could have been anything. It'd been the same exact movie. But you infuse this thing that they're dealing with, and they can smell their others of their kind.
Right.
And from far away, not like just in the room.
Did you feel that was supernatural in a sense?
No, I feel like it was just a hunger that these people have. It's never displayed as that they're creatures. It's never been displayed as vampirism. It's never displayed even as standard cannibalism, that, hey, I just like eating people.
It's just a thing.
It's never like I have to eat someone. It's they feel the urges. And this young girl, it starts off, if you've seen the trailer, it starts off with her hanging out with friends. You know, everything's fine. They're painting nails or whatever. And the first time you realize something crazy, and this scene is in the trailer, it's the only reason I'm going to say anything about it, is she's looking at her friend's nail, and she goes like she's going to suck her finger, and she starts biting her finger off. Everybody freaks out, and then the dad's like, we got to move again. Then you realize, oh crap, something's more going on here. And then nothing happens for a long time. It's just her on the road and dealing with stuff. And she meets this guy, and she meets this other guy, Mark Rylance, who is always amazing. He's the
older guy,
the guy from The Outfit. That's Taylor.
Yeah.
He steals this movie as far as I'm concerned.
I happened to walk by.
You saw the end of it when he came back.
I walked by and I was like, whoa, that doesn't even look like the same dude, because he's all in like his little
like a
country looking thing.
Yeah, and he's kind of a hillbilly in the movie.
Yeah, and I was like, whoa, he's so good.
And he's in the movie for about this long. At the beginning, kind of into the second act, and then
that scene at the end, his little monologue, it was kind of impactful. And I didn't even see all of it. That's what I'm telling
you, is the movie is not what you expect.
Not at all.
And I love this movie, but I also can see this movie being one that people are like, oh, it's boring. Or
do you find that maybe it was metaphoric of something else, like?
I think there's a lot of stuff there.
At us,
there's a lot of that hunger is metaphoric in a lot of ways, I think, because both of them are dealing with family trauma, abuse, abandonment.
Maybe it was eating at them.
And I literally think that there's that metaphor of that eating people mentality there. And then it's also fights between them, because you know, they don't just run around and murder everybody. They're not killers necessarily. They are, obviously, but they try to satisfy a hunger, but they always try to make sure if they do somebody, it's somebody that was alone, not like, so it would impact someone else.
Correct.
And there's an event that happens that kind of goes against what they want or what they do, and it starts kind of putting a thing between them, because one is like, it is what it is, the other one's like, no, we can't be this way, we're wrong, and it kind of
crazy
brings them apart, brings them back together, and it kind of again deals with the abandonment, but it also deals with who is your family. It deals with, you know, because part of it is she's trying to find somebody, and finding them, it was like you finally see them, and I'll have to tell you, since you may or may not ever watch the movie as a whole,
I'll try to watch it this week.
But finally seeing them, and you think that they get a letter and they're reading this note, and the end of it, it goes in this left field, and I'm like, wait, what? And it's not what you think. And the same thing with the ending of the movie is that everything's leading to the Hollywood happy ending, and it happens, but then there's a twist that I didn't see coming either, because I'm like, I thought we were over this sport. So it's like, it's kind of that thing is when you watch some of those movies, and there's a moment in the movie that's like kind of just like a placeholder to move forward the story.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, 2 hours later, it shows up as a major plot point, and you're like, wait, I thought they didn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, this one does that, but it's a major thing at the beginning you think is going to be part of the story. Then it's over. Then it sort of comes back, but then it feels like it's over again. And then it comes back again and punches you in the forehead.
Wow.
You know, so I really dug this movie. It will not be for everybody. Timothy Chalamet was excellent in it. Mark Rylance was good in it. There's actually a small role. Chloe Sevigny's in it, in a very small role. Blink and you miss her kind of thing. What's her name? Taylor Russell, who's the lead in there. I don't know what I've seen her in, but she's excellent in it. Director David Gordon Green, that directed Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends.
Yeah.
He has a small cameo in it. And so I really dug the movie. It is strange, but it's weird, but it
may
deep.
Not be for everyone.
I think it's one of those that you would probably watch and suddenly find all these deep meaning.
Like I might cry.
You probably would. It's pretty heavy movie.
Yeah.
So it's in theaters now. Check it out. I got to watch it thankfully because
she's the girl from Waves.
That's what it is. I knew it. She's the one that got pregnant, right?
So good. Yes.
Yeah.
Such a good movie.
Yeah. Would she be considered a best newcomer?
She's only done 3 things, maybe.
So I have voting
3
for
or
film
4
critic stuff to do.
Actually, no, she's done a lot.
But still, newcomers
she
also
was in that show Falling Sky. Okay, when she was younger. I remember that show.
I don't know if she'd be classified as a newcomer or not, because I don't know. I don't really know, because I've seen people where they classify best newcomer and then they've been in a bunch of stuff.
Maybe.
So I don't know if maybe it's the impact of
maybe
when they
because
first
she's in a
bigger things or something. I don't know.
Leading,
Anyway, Bones and All is in theaters now.
Sounds interesting.
If you want to see something different,
there you go.
This is something different, but like I said, it is bloody. It's not like horror film gory, but it is a lot of blood.
Okay.
So way more blood than I expected. So I was like, hey,
that makes me happy.
Yeah, I think this is when you would watch, be like, man, that movie got me. You know, that kind of thing.
One of those. That happens to me.
It usually happens to those ones you have no interest in seeing.
Correct. It gets me. Gets me in the feels.
Anyway, check it out.
All right. Where do we want to go? You want to go heavy?
Let's go completely opposite to that.
Okay. Let's go here. Thank goodness.
So our family is big on Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Love Wimpy Kid.
Here's what's funny about it. None of us have ever read it. The reason we're big in it is we started buying my son the books when he was little. Now he's a grown person with a child, and we still buy him the new book every year for Christmas.
Yeah, every time there's a book.
It's just become the standard Christmas gift. He knows he's getting it. He'll tell me too, Dad, don't forget a new Wimpy Kid book came out. He knows he's going to get it. He has all 17 books.
I feel like he's probably reading it with her.
Well, he said he started reading them at one point, but he never finished them. And my son's not a reader either. That's kind of part of the joke. We were trying to get him to read.
The rest of us are, and our daughter is.
Although he has told me now, he goes, man, I wish I read more. I'm like, you ain't that old, man. Start.
At least start with comics. That might be something he's more interested in.
So anyway, they had 3 live action Diary of a Wimpy Kid movies. My son loved them. I loved them. I thought they were fun. But then the kids got too old, so the movies weren't doing as good. But thankfully, Disney went back. I'm assuming after they bought Fox, I believe. They started making an animated version, which I always thought this should have been an animated property anyway, so it matched closer to his
art in the books.
Yeah. So last year we got Diary of a Wimpy Kid, the first book in the series. So this year we got Roderick Rules, which is, I don't know if it's actually the second book in the series. I think it is.
Yeah.
But let me pull it up while you're thinking. So what is your feeling on the Diary of a Wimpy Kid?
I really like the whole series. I mean, I like the books. I think it's cute that we get it. I feel like I flipped through them before we give them away. But I really liked the movies, and I think my favorite person.
Roderick Rules is the second book.
Okay, good. My favorite person is his best friend,
Rowley.
Rowley
is the best person ever.
Best guy in the whole world. And Rowley is okay. So you got the main kid is Greg, right?
Greg Heffley, yes.
Greg, and he's got an older brother who's kind of mean to him, which is Roderick. So this is Roderick's rules of life that he's teaching him in this movie. And his best friend's Rowley, and Rowley is just himself.
He's just good people, too.
He is the sweet little kid who maybe, according to everyone else, is like too old to still be playing with toys or playing with action figures or whatever.
Yeah.
So Greg's like, no, you can't do that. We're going to middle school.
He's that embarrassing friend that you have.
So, yeah.
But he's only embarrassed to you.
But you know what? At the end of everything, Raleigh shows up. He does his own thing. He doesn't care what other people think of him. And I think he's better off for it. And in the end, Greg actually ends up being like, oh, I should have just did what Raleigh did. Who cares if we still play with toys and we're going to middle school?
Well, and I always liked that he, like in this one, he finds out about a party. And he shows up with balloons and
a party hat.
And he's a little
like,
thing. And he's like, it's not that kind of party. He's like, what other kind of party is there?
He's like, oh, is this a boy-girl party?
And you know who does the voice of Raleigh, at least in this one?
Yeah.
It's the little boy with the big hair from what is the name of that show that was the Blackish prequel show with remember the show with the
Youngish? I don't know.
No. It was the one about her as the mom as a child.
Oh, yes, I love that show.
The little brother that had the big hair.
Yes.
He's the voice of Raleigh.
Oh, that's so cute. Yeah, I like that show. What was that show?
Oh no, I gotta look now.
Yeah, go look it up.
Because it got canceled, but yeah.
I'm gonna go look it up.
Mixed Dish.
Yes. Such a cute show.
He was Raleigh. But I think he was only Raleigh. No, he was Raleigh in both.
I don't know. Anyway, so now we have Roderick Rules, which did you find out? Is that the second book?
It is, in fact, the second book. So I'm hoping
there's a live action version. Now this is the animated version.
Yeah, and I'm hoping with these things, because all these specials, these little movies are like an hour long. And so I'm hoping that maybe we're going to get one every year now.
I hope so.
Because they seem to be not simple to produce, but they're not having to pack every book in like some of the other movies and stuff like that. It's letting it happen. It's animated. And, especially now that with computers and stuff, once you've created these kind of characters, a lot of times they're easier to animate.
Yeah.
So all the cast is done. It's not just to add whatever new.
It's very simple art. I think my favorite is still probably the mom, because she's just so goofy and very mom-like.
And it surprises me that she wouldn't annoy you like some of this, that she would even like this art, because it is weird.
It is weird. It's very cartoony, but I like it. I like how it
looks like the books, even though the books are more stick figure-y.
Yeah.
It matches it, and I love it.
So this one is the parents go out of town, and Roderick's in charge, the older brother, and he tells Greg, "Here are Roderick's rules." And he's the Roderick rules, and he's like, "Don't you mean Roderick's rules?" He's like, "No, I have time for no apostrophe s. It's Roderick rules." Anyway, so they throw a party, get in trouble, and that's where we're at in the story.
It's kind of a dealing with, if you've never read the book, obviously, but it's dealing with like kind of coming into your own, which I think that's Diary of a Wimpy Kid is all of it. It's about him kind of learning and doing something. And that's kind of the good basis of having Raleigh and having your brother, because the brother is the troublemaking kid.
Over the top.
Bullies him around. It's not the relationship he would hope to have. And then he's got Raleigh, who is there for anything he wants, but he tends to treat Raleigh like crap a lot of times because of being embarrassing, like we were talking about. And it always ends up being Raleigh is the guy that stands by him no matter what.
And Raleigh's still that representation of that childhood innocence. He's staying a child as long as possible.
Yeah, he's not growing up. He's not, even though they're the same age, he's the kid that everybody else has moved on from toys and moved on from Santa Claus and moved on from he's still there.
And I'm okay. And I think that's cool.
Yeah.
Anyways.
What is it? One thing he was like, but I'm going to miss my ballet classes.
Yeah.
It's like something that a boy would normally back in the day never talk about.
Yeah, but I think that's what Raleigh's the best.
Yeah.
The worst is the booger kid.
That's Fregley from the first. We didn't see him this time around.
Yeah, so that's okay.
Oh.
Anyways.
But yeah,
I thought this was a cute movie.
I think it's fun because it deals with the Roderick-Greg relationship.
Yeah. It really does.
And also it shows kind of, soft side of Roderick of what he's dealing with, of his shortcomings, even though he always seems together. Because, anytime you have a bully or somebody they're just living life and everything's great for them, there's usually something wrong or something not going well.
His own issues. I think the other thing, too, is we were watching this and the grandbaby was here and she was all enthralled. So I think she liked the simplicity of the art, maybe. So she watched the whole thing like for an hour.
It's bright, it's vibrant, it's fun. It follows the books.
That's great.
And I can only hope that this is now going to be a yearly thing we talk about.
Yes, love Wimpy Kid.
So if you whether you like Diary of a Wimpy Kid or not, or read the books or not, it doesn't matter. Roderick Rules has now hit Disney Plus, and now you have Diary of a Wimpy Kid and Diary of a Wimpy Kid Roderick Rules, both available. You should watch them both, and you don't necessarily have to watch them in order if you don't want to. They're kind of their own thing. But don't skip the first one because that's where the cheese is.
Not the cheese. Don't touch the cheese.
Yeah, the cheese you don't touch. But they're available now on Disney Plus. We love them.
They're good. All right, now you want to go heavy?
Whatever you want.
Whoo,
How many more do
girl.
we have? Just two?
Just this one and the other.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
two. This is the movie Till, based on the true story of, I want to call him Bobo because that was his cute name, but his real name was, oh, tell me.
Oh, you just threw me off because I knew
Sorry.
until you said it.
Because she's like, oh, that's my sweet Bo. Goodness, I'm sorry. It deserves to be said
We're
correctly.
ill prepared. I keep wanting to say
Hold on.
Emmett. Excuse
Emmett.
me. I don't know why I couldn't remember
Emmett
that.
Till,
It's so stupid.
based on a true story.
Now, interesting enough, when I told you about this, you didn't know about this story, right?
I don't think I did. I don't know how I missed this.
I mean, so if you don't know, I
don't
assumed,
know.
and again, this is one of those historical, sad historical things
Yeah.
that I just assume everybody knew. But if you come from an environment where you weren't exposed to a lot of news or exposed to a lot of life or history or something, and I'm not saying that's you,
No,
but
it is me.
or kind of were kept away from adult themed
Yeah,
things growing
very
up.
much.
I wasn't necessarily thrown in the middle of it, but for whatever reason, I knew about Emmett
You
Till.
know a lot more historical, like even the Jeffrey Dahmer series. Like it was like over my head. I was in high school. What do I know? But
Yeah.
I didn't watch the news. And actually, at my home, my dad always watched the Spanish news, which actually shows like dead bodies and
Yeah.
stuff on the screen back then. So it was at that point that I would go to my room and go to bed when the news
I
started.
don't know. I've always been like, I didn't watch any news when I was a kid either, and I didn't
You're
have
just more aware.
I didn't have a lot of
What happened?
I didn't have a lot of I didn't have Crime and Investigation Network and all that when I was a kid either. I think I was just always intrigued about the world, like
Mhm.
in the horrors of the world.
Yeah.
Maybe because
Did
I
you
had
read the paper a lot?
not really. I mean, I read the cartoons because I was heavy into
Yeah,
Garfield and the
who didn't?
drawing and all that kind of stuff because I would look at them draw them. I didn't even care about their stories.
Yeah.
But I think I don't know. There was something like I was into movies a lot early on when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And then but I was always into like weird stuff, not like it wasn't Star Wars, it wasn't E.T. That stuff to me came later. I was like into stuff like Death Race 2000 and the Road Warrior, and I liked things that seemed like the apocalypse of the world, or they seemed like very strange heroes. And even my cartoons, I was like that. Like I was not a fan of the Looney Tunes at the time. I wasn't a fan of the Flintstones or the Jetsons. I like Screwball Squirrel, and I like Droopy, and I like just these different. I know they were mainstream characters. I'm not trying to make it seem like I'm artistic, but they were just not the ones my friends liked.
Correct.
And they were like, "Let's watch the Flintstones." I'm like, fine. And then I'm like, "Let's watch Woody Woodpecker." Okay, but I don't want that one. I want the one that was in the insane asylum with the big thick legs,
the big lines.
I wanted the Tom and Jerry's when it was by the pool in the boxes, and here's the Tom and Jerry kit, the crazy one, not just the ones running around with the mama in their house shoes.
Anyways.
So anyway, I don't know.
Yeah, so I totally missed this. This is based on the true story of the 1955 brutal murder and lynching, and I'm going to just say it, mutilation of a young boy. I believe it was 14 years old.
Yes.
And
in Mississippi.
And he basically talked to a white lady when he shouldn't have.
Yeah. Now, so the only stuff I didn't know about this is I didn't realize that he had left home. I always thought he lived in Mississippi and was attacked.
Yeah, no.
I didn't realize it makes more sense in a sad way. It doesn't justify anything, but that he had gone to visit his cousins.
He lived in Chicago, which was a tiny bit more progressive.
Yeah, they still kind of like, there's a scene that they show that like they're told to go pay downstairs or something at the store, but at the same time they were walking around, nobody was really shunning them.
Correct. But then he goes to visit his cousins in the South, and his mom has the talk of like, it's different there. Be careful with the white people there. Like, she has this whole talk. So that kind of sets the tone of the time period and what we're about to face. And as soon as she has that talk with oh no, something's going to happen.
That talk is something that I found interesting that comes into play later.
Yeah.
Where they're interviewing her or they're questioning her after the murder and asking, because they're automatically trying to pin it on him that he did it to himself or he deserved it or he did something wrong. And in the movie, I'm assuming what he did was from the eyewitness accounts. But he basically told a lady she was pretty, a white lady, and then he whistled at her, which then spawned into a lynching and a murder. So that's essentially why he was murdered.
Yeah.
Even though whistling at some lady is probably inappropriate and kind of demeaning, I still don't think it justifies murdering somebody.
No.
But there's a moment later when they're interviewing, talking to her about it, and they're like, she's telling him, they're like, "What did you say to your son before you left?" And she's recounting exactly what she told him.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're about to use that to say, so then you told him what would happen if he misbehaved. But what I thought was interesting is she turns that around to say, no, I didn't teach my son to hate. I taught him about love.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't grasp the danger of what I was really telling him.
Yeah.
He couldn't separate the love in his heart that potentially somebody could be that evil in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so didn't really take to heart what she was saying, because he was like, he was kind of like any other kid, but
it's like, yeah, okay.
Mom, it's fine,
Mm-hmm.
and he saw somebody he thought was beautiful, and he was living his good life. And even his cousins were telling him, you got to behave, man. You can't be acting like that, and nobody justified it, which I was a little concerned in the movie, outside of the people that were involved, that there might be some of the family of the cousins after it happened. I thought they might have been like, well, look, he did this, thankfully it was more out of fear than it was anything else.
Mm-hmm.
The movie really follows her story.
Right.
You do see this stuff with him. I will tell you that the murder stuff is in the film, but you don't see it. Mm-hmm. And it's shot in a very creative way. I found it almost creepier because I'll tell you the shot. It's a wide shot of the houses of the barn where he's at, and all you do is hear what's going on. Mm-hmm. So it's not even like seeing his face screaming or seeing you don't see any of that. So people worried about showcasing the abuse of a child or something like that, which I'm usually one of those people that's an advocate, not because I think that's something we should see on screen, but for the impact of storytelling. But because of this being a real thing, I think that would have been an insult to show that, even though that impact, it would have more impact.
Impactful later, because
but you're dealing with a real person,
stuff. Yeah,
and I think you should be respectful of.
Yeah.
I thought that was an impactful story, and then they do give you a visual later that gives you that impact later on.
What actually happened to him? So
I really liked the movie, but it didn't hit me as heavy as I expected. Did you have the same feeling? Or
yeah, I thought.
And maybe it's the separation of being a white person and what was going on. I felt it. Yeah, and it's powerful, but I didn't have. I don't know what it was.
I did. I thought it was impactful. I thought they would show more of, I guess, the beating. Not that I want to see somebody getting beat, but I thought they might show more, because all you see is they literally walk him out of his house, throw him in a truck, and then the next thing is that scene where you hear them beating him, and then that's it. And then he's
and that's not necessarily a complaint that that's all we saw.
No, but I'm just saying, if you're going for that impact. Now, what was impactful to me was afterwards, and he's dead, and you're seeing all of the stuff that happened to it. But I mean, you don't get like a full account of everything.
Yeah, and again, I understand why they don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's gross.
At the same time, if they had shown all that, it could have weakened the impact to the point of, now this is just disgusting showing this. You know what I mean? So there's that thin gray area there of telling the story. But I thought, is that dog kicking me in the butt? Sorry.
Yeah, she's asleep kicking you.
Oh, I'm getting kicked in my butthole. There's a hole in the back of this chair. But I do think it's still a powerful movie.
It is.
It's really her story, dealing with it and dealing with trying to get lynching to made a federal crime, which wasn't until, what they say, 2021 or 22?
22. It was this year.
Yeah, that it was still not a federal crime until 2022.
Yes, and it's because of him. It was named, I guess, in their memory.
And I think it's sad. I think what makes this movie more powerful, outside the horrific events and the historical nature of what this story is and what it did and the impact that it would have on the world or in the country and everything else, because of what it is, it's made all the sadder and more powerful because it's still relevant. And this should not be relevant anymore. This should be a story of like, man, I can't believe somebody would do that back then. But you still can see people doing that now. And it pisses you off.
It does, because,
unless you're somebody that think none of this stuff happens.
It goes through the whole trial, and that whole thing was a mess, because, we get to the trial, and I know we're in this time period of the 50s, and we're in the South, And they're like, well, the jury's come in, and I'm like, it's going to be like a whole group of older white
Old
men.
white men, yeah.
I'm like, nothing's going to happen. And it was so sad that even at some point, in the trial, she gets up to leave because she's like, it's over anyway.
Yeah, they're like, don't you know the verdict? She's like, I already know.
I already know what it's going to be, and it wasn't the point. The point was that she's there. She spoke. People spoke out about it. They did what they could to tell the story to the the utmost truth of what it was. And she knew that wasn't going to change. But I think the thing, like you said, this is about her and now her fight to change the rules or change the law or get something
this
accomplished.
Woman, I believe it's Danielle Deadweiler.
She's so good.
She acted the shit out of this movie.
Oh my gosh, I don't even know what else she's done.
She is heartbroken.
Amazing.
She's loving. She's in pain. She's angry. There's moments where she says nothing, and you just can feel the fury of a mother who lost a child. And when she looks at somebody, and I'm like, this woman is. She was all in, and I can't imagine, especially
it's crazy
as a Black person, having to act in a movie like this that has affected your people. Like, there's no way that anybody that's in this movie that had to deal with this could not have been impacted and be some real emotions when you're having to look at this kid and his body in this, some of those sequences, and you're having to say, look, this is what happened to my people because of the color of their skin. This also really happened to a young boy. This isn't just acting. And I'm affected by this because I have the same skin. I can't understand, not understand, but I can't imagine.
I think at a certain point you have to cry it out and let it go.
Oh,
and
I know.
Then you can focus on the character.
I know. It's just like anytime somebody shoots a movie that's impactful to your culture.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how.
But this is insane because remember, this opened up a conversation of you and I of how both of our grandmothers picked cotton.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure
mine was paid.
Yeah, and I'm sure my grandmother's experience might have been a little different than yours.
Way different than my white grandmother's.
Yeah, cotton. So my grandparents picked everything. They did cotton. She's telling me cotton, pecans, watermelons. I mean, they harvested like everything. They would travel up and down the U.S. all year long.
I don't mean to bring this thing down, but I'm getting the bonus treatment back here in my butt for this dog.
Yeah, and so I know perhaps. Well, I don't know. Perhaps I had to ask my mom what she remembers, but I don't know how Hispanic people were treated in comparison to Black people. But
do you know if she was paid to do it?
They did get paid.
She had a job.
That was their job.
Because I know my grandmother talked about it, and she would talk about pitting cotton. And I remember vaguely asking my grandmother the first time I found out that I'm like, "Oh, were you a slave?"
No,
because
you don't. Yeah,
I'd only heard of Black slave picking cotton, but I never know the Black part. I just knew slaves picking cotton was a slave job.
Oh, sweet.
And my grandmother, I remember her. I don't know. I want to say that she got mad.
Which grandma was this?
Betty.
Okay.
The one you wouldn't assume would have picked cotton. Because she was very hoity-toity bougie by the time we all knew her. With a lot of money, was probably watching again. But she was also moderately racist. So I don't remember. I kind of vaguely remember her getting mad that I referred to her as a slave. But I don't remember, honestly, if it was because I was comparing her to Black people. She wasn't racist, like hateful. She was like old person racist. I know that's not an okay thing, but you know what I mean?
Culturally racist.
Where she just went by stereotypes, like,
too bad.
Or if it was because I didn't know the difference, or if I don't really know.
As a child, you don't know. I mean, when I was in kindergarten, somebody asked me if I was Black, and I was like, I don't know. Let me ask my mom, and I'll tell you tomorrow. Because I didn't have a concept.
Well, my grandmother thought
either.
you were Black,
right?
Before she ever saw you in person, she just saw you. She saw you in the car with me going somewhere, picking me up or leaving or something, and she asked me one time, "Are you still dating that Black girl?" And I'm like, first of all, she has a name. Her name is Yolanda. No, I said her name is Shaquita. No, I said she has a name Drusilla, which wasn't helping my case. So then I had to spin back around. I'm like, okay, that's not going to help. She's Hispanic, and my grandmother said same thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling
and she didn't mean it hateful. She was meaning, okay, she's not white. But she also loved you more than anybody.
She did.
She loved every time. How is Drusilla doing? She immediately learned your name once she realized we were serious. She immediately had respect for you, but it's because of your status. You had a job, you had a career. Once she saw that, your color went out the window.
Yeah.
And that was her. She was all about status. She looked at me too, and at one point I had 5 earrings, I had long hair. tattoos, and she was like, "You look like a gang member. You need to do this. You do that." As soon as I cut my hair shorter, well, I got rid of some of the earrings, And then once I got older, had a job, married you, had kids, suddenly I was just Bobby again. So that space of I was a thug, I was her beautiful grandson. I was the only grandson, so I was the best one. It was the only grandson. Then I was a thug.
Yeah, then
with no basis to it, just the way I looked.
Your look.
And then I became Bobby again.
That's nice. Well, anyways, so I think the impactful part of this, did you get at all moved by the funeral section of the movie?
The one sequence where the lady that didn't want to look at it, that part I did. Only because it was an important moment, because without spoiling, there was a person that didn't want to look at it. At the boy, because she had an open casket, so that everybody could see this guy.
See what they did.
Because he was not only bludgeoned and beaten and everything else, he was bloated from being in a river, and he was shot. So they
mutilated. By the way,
his what?
Mutilated.
Yeah. He was an open casket, and the lady's like, I don't want to look at that. And she's like, you have to, because that's the point. It's like, you need to see what they're doing to us, so that you can finally find that power to stand up. Because I understand their situation of like. There's also discussion where she's yelling at, I guess it would be her uncle, or is it their uncle or her brother?
Where?
The one that they were at their house. Because it was a cousin, so would that be her brother?
No, I don't think so. I think it's uncle.
Well, they're the cousins, so I don't know. Anyway, He didn't stop it from happening. But you see both sides. It wasn't just one person. He was also having to choose to save other people. He didn't know what was going to happen, what they were going to do, and she's like, you could have stopped it. You could have done that. And it's that gray area that you totally understand both sides.
Yeah. Because he's like, okay, but my whole family was here.
She goes, but it was my son. And he's like, well, what about my son? And it became
he had more.
Yeah.
It's
that's
like
what
they
I'm saying.
could have wiped out his entire family.
Yeah. She's talking about, he was my kid. And she's like, these are my kids. And it's.
So how do you.
It's a Sophie's choice situation, but there was no right answer.
No, and I get that reference because I've seen that.
Oh, good.
But it's just so sad. I mean, anyway. So after this, it's about her story after, and her involvement in the civil rights movement. And you're right, guys, just understand, the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act was signed this year. And this happened in 1955. Why would it take that long to be like, oh, lynching should be a crime?
There's too many white people.
What? Like, how is this? This is so.
I don't understand why lynching isn't a crime, period. Because people were lynching people. Forget race part of it. People were still lynching people anytime.
The witches.
They were a problem. The witches, Frankenstein, all these things. People were been lynching.
You looked at me wrong. I meant to lynch you.
Yeah, like people would lynch somebody if they thought they raped somebody. If they, it's. Guilt, innocent until proven guilty, but lynching's okay. It's a mob mentality.
So it's now a federal hate crime. But
well, I'm sure there was probably some sort of a white lynching, and that's how it got passed.
But yeah, who knows? This movie is really powerful. It's impactful, and I think the good thing about this particular film is that it's not going to age or seem out of date. Like anytime you watch it, it's told very well, and the cinematography is really good of the time period. That I think you could watch it 10 years from now, and it'll still be.
And it's not overly graphic, so I think it's one that pretty much all ages could watch it, even though. It's a heavy, powerful.
I think you could show this to high school kids, and
I think they should show it to. I would say even junior high kids should see this, especially ethnic kids. They need to understand what's going on out there.
Yeah, what's happening.
And white kids, before they are fully poisoned with nonsense, need to see what's happened out there. And I think that's one of the issues. It goes back into the whole education thing where they're trying to hide all this racism stuff that's happened, and I think it's stupid. It's like
you tell people.
Our whole mentality used to be about learning stuff so history doesn't repeat itself.
Correct.
And now it's like, let's hide history so it doesn't repeat itself.
It's going to
but that's going to not stop anything. Anyway, the movie is really good.
It's very good. It's very, I thought it was impactful. Yeah. I understand what you're saying.
I wasn't unimpacted by it, but
they could have pushed it more, but I think on purpose they kept it.
Yeah, I think it was a good choice. And she was amazing in it. I was a little surprised. Whoopi Goldberg's in the movie, but barely in the movie. And she doesn't have she has one scene that's really strong where like she's feeling guilty for it. without telling you. But I think she might have been a producer or something on the movie, so maybe that's why she does, because she's almost unrecognizable.
Yeah,
I had to double check. Is that Whoopi?
I was like, is that Whoopi? And I'm like, yeah, it is. I see your little
so if
face.
you're looking for another movie to see in theaters, again, something that's different. Till is one of those. I think it's one of those that's kind of gone under the radar. I think it deserves to be seen, even if nothing else. Just the historical elements of racism and the
it's
nonsense.
getting nominated for small things, so I think that looks good for the big awards.
Yeah, for just dealing with the sadness of the crap that's still going on. And I think this is a movie that everybody should see.
Yeah, everybody needs to see this. Oh my goodness.
All right, moving on.
Okay.
Now let's go to something that's awesome and more holiday spirited.
Oh my gosh, so out of left field here.
This next one is one of my favorite movies of the year.
I've already decided this is my favorite movie.
Is Violent Night. Now, you may think this movie just sounds stupid, and guess what? It is.
That's okay.
But in the best freaking way possible.
Yeah.
What happens if you take Die Hard and you mix it up with Home Alone and you throw in Dead Snow and just all kinds of batshit craziness and the Santa Claus? You get Violent Night.
So good.
Violent Night stars David Harbour. Do you even know who David Harbour is?
I don't. Let me go.
You know him as Red Guardian from Black Widow.
Oh, yes, that guy. Okay.
Yes, he was also the new Hellboy in the Hellboy movie.
Yes. I know exactly who he is.
He's more famous from Stranger Things.
Okay, I don't watch.
Did you not even realize that was him?
No, I didn't pay attention.
Yeah. He plays Santa Claus
because he was chunkier in that.
Yeah, he plays Santa Claus, he is the real Santa Claus in the movie.
The real
It
Santa.
shows you the trailer. What's funny is they could have done this movie with a mall Santa type guy. It could have been the same movie. But there's something magical about making it Santa and the Santa whooping people's ass.
Yeah.
And there's been movies that come out where they either go a violent direction or a crazed direction with Santa Claus, and I'm always there for it. But this was different. This is an action flick. It's violent. Totally lives up to his name. It's bloody. It's if somebody posted like the Home Alone movie that we all wanted. Everybody's been wanting a rated R Home Alone movie.
Yes,
like, that's what this is.
Yeah,
essentially,
it's good.
And Home Alone actually plays a part in this movie.
Yes,
so it's not just in tone. There's an element of Home Alone here, not like it connects to the movies, but when you see it, you know what I'm talking
really
about.
good.
It also has one of my personal favorites, John Leguizamo, in it.
Yes,
who is playing the big bad guy, aka Mr. Scrooge.
So fun.
So before we saw this, before you go in your random love of this movie, were you interested in the movie beforehand, or was it one of those you were like, eh?
No, I was, because I thought it was, I don't know what I thought.
I think you thought it was a horror
film.
I
thought it was a Christmas horror film, which, by the way, are my favorite type of horror films, are Christmas horror.
Well, the problem is there's too many of them. There's not enough Thanksgiving. There's not enough Valentine's Day.
Well, we found 2 Thanksgiving horror films, so we'll keep trying. I feel like the one with the sisters that are werewolves is a Thanksgiving film, isn't it?
Ginger Snaps?
Mm-hmm. I don't know why. I feel like
maybe the third one, which it's the prequel and it's in the Pilgrim type area.
Yeah.
Maybe, but
anyways, it doesn't matter. Yeah, so I thought this was Christmas horror. I just saw the name and I was like, I'm in. So I didn't know anything what it was about. I had no idea.
Yeah, this is kind of a John Wick meets Santa Claus.
Yeah, I
actually
love
more like Nobody Meets Santa Claus.
Yeah. So Santa's delivering presents and bad guys are there to rob the house. So Santa has to step in and help, and that's all we know.
And here's the thing: is Santa Claus is really not wanting to be Santa Claus anymore.
He's tired of it.
He's dealing with his dilemma, so it kind of gives him this down and out. This is a movie, had it been made in the 80s or 90s, would have starred Bruce Willis.
For real.
Bruce Willis would have played Santa Claus, and he reminded me of Bruce Willis in The Last Boy Scout. That he was just drunkard and
he's like, this thing again.
Yeah, it was kind of that vibe. And let me tell you, this movie is all kinds of awesome.
It is the best movie ever.
It's funny. It's fun. It looks like a movie that was made in the 80s or 90s. Tons of one-liners. One of my favorite is they're yelling at each other through their little walkie-talkie, and he's like, Santa Claus is coming to town.
Yeah,
and
it's just so funny.
John Leguizamo even gets one. He goes something like, I'm Scrooge, motherfucker, and the stomps on somebody.
Yeah.
And this also, I wrote this in the review, but I want to say it publicly to you so you hear me too. This movie also gave John Leguizamo the chance to do what he did not get to do in the John Wick films. Kick some ass.
Yes.
He got to fight. He got to do some stuff. He got to shoot. And in John Wick, I always thought we were leading up to the point where we were going to get to see John Leguizamo do stuff, especially when they called out the hit and everybody was going to be involved. And fun fact, I had messaged after John Wick 2 came out. I posted something about it, and I think I even wrote in my review about hopefully we're going to get to see John Leguizamo get in on the action now. And John Leguizamo tweeted me back, I hope so, and I'm like, yes. And then I made a point when he wasn't in 3. I'm like, what the heck? He goes, I don't know.
Put him back. Bring him back.
Because
you would think that they would at this one when it's, I don't know. Is it the finale? We don't know.
There's supposed to be a 5.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So anyway,
I'm ready to start watching.
Yeah, this one brings all the holiday cheer and fights. It's bloody. So good. But there's a cool backstory for Santa Claus.
Mm-hmm. He's the real Santa.
Yes.
And
they use Santa's magic to some fun ways.
Which is so cool. And all of the thing. And it is so bad. There's just one thing where he drinks the milk. He's like, ugh, skim milk. Yeah. And he's like, ooh, homemade cookies. So he gets excited by those little things. And
in relation to the cookies and stuff, I found it funny. And I did it in the theater. I don't know if you saw me. But I found it funny that he's so dirty and drunkard sometimes and grimy and he's just like he's just sloppy. But when he eats his cookies, he's like, he's like they're the delicacy. His fingers are up.
Yeah.
And even in the middle of a fight, like he'll fight somebody, and he's like,
and then he's like, I'll take the cookie for later. And he sticks it in his pocket. And so fun. It is a great movie. I mean, we can't even tell you everything that happens.
Yeah, no,
it's a good action-packed mystery Santa
so I have
movie.
to ask you, because I figured out early on, did you figure out what was going on with the family and the robbery and all the other stuff?
I didn't figure out who done it.
I honestly, when they had the conversation, this is gonna be vague to y'all. When Tommy Turner goes, I want to get away from the family. I was like, I know exactly what it's about to happen. But I thought it could be involved with the whole thing.
Oh,
like he was behind it. That's why they knew so much.
Yeah.
Until he gave the gift, and I'm like, oh, he's not involved, but he is involved. And there's twists and turns here.
Yeah. I liked it. And I liked the little girl. There's a little girl in it. And, sometimes kids can be annoying. She's like the cutest, sweetest little thing ever.
Yeah.
And she's really good in this movie, too. So.
I want to give him props, too, as a clever twist on, if you see the trailer, there's a moment where she's talking to a walkie-talkie to Santa Claus.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking, the way they introduced the walkie-talkie, I'm like, okay, there's going to be some sort of a magic connection or something that they're going to do.
Yeah.
And this is going to be the holiday magic. But it was so much simpler and made so much more sense.
Yeah.
On how they connected together. I'm like, oh my God, that's it. I built this whole story of how they were going to do it, of how they could possibly be connected. And then they did it. I'm like, oh, well, that was way easier than what I was coming up with.
Yeah.
And it's real.
I don't know. This is just like the best. This is in my top 10. For sure.
Yeah.
And one of my top favorite Christmas movies.
Me too. I think I agree. And what I also want to say is that I enjoyed, because I honestly expected, while Santa Claus is a badass in the movie, I think I expected more of a John Wick nobody style of fighting, not from a standard of like well choreographed karate, but I thought he was gonna be more of a, oh, we just found out he's this badass, and he's like, but he gets his ass whooped a lot. He's thrown around. It's just normal, gritty fighting.
It's good.
Hit people with whatever you can grab, whatever you can find. It's got some wacky kills that are just ridiculous, but they're funny.
Love it.
It is such a great movie. It is. I kind of agree with you. It's one of my favorite films. It's one of my favorite films this year. It's definitely going to be a heavy Christmas rotation, if not more than that.
Yeah, I'm ready to watch it again.
I would go watch it again at the theater.
Yeah. Anyways.
Even though we are now full-time Alamo Drafthouse people now.
Yeah.
Although I did think about it after, my only problem with Alamo Drafthouse is food's so expensive.
Yeah, but you don't have to get food.
No,
you can get some water.
But why? That's date night. If you're going to go there, you got to have your salted caramel shake.
I do.
You got to have some sort of a food.
And my chips and queso. That's what I'm about.
But yeah, we went to go see an Alamo Drafthouse. Plus, they give you, if you've never been to one, they give you like a pre-show that's funny clips of all these different things that can in theme with the movie you're watching. So it's just, instead of just watching the same movie and the same stories and trailers that they're leading up to while you wait for everything to kick on. But anyway, I love it. Violent Night. It's in theaters now, and it was the number 2 movie this weekend behind Wakanda Forever.
Nice. Okay, great. I'm glad. Go check it out. It's really good. Okay, that was that.
Moving on.
Yeah, tell me over there what you got.
So this week we got Friday. I did lie. Amsterdam is coming out this week.
Oh, good.
It's not already out. Star Trek Discovery season 4 is coming out. Better Call Saul season 6.
Is this season the one on Discovery, the one that made me cry, or was that last season?
That was this season. The
Oh
one where
my
the guy at the beginning and the guy at
gosh.
the end.
Yes.
Where he reintroduces the Federation.
Yeah,
That's
up
season
a storm.
4. Better Call Saul season 6, which I believe is the final season, is getting released. Clerks 3 is getting the Blu-ray treatment. Of course, Amsterdam. The original RIPD is getting the 4K treatment. I don't know why, but it is.
Because RIPD 2 came out.
Yeah, but anyway,
I
don't know why they would put it out on 4K.
I know, probably they're not good movies, but I like them.
The 40th anniversary edition of 48 Hours is getting a 4K treatment with Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte. Better Off Dead, which is such a great John Cusack movie from the 80s, is getting a Blu-ray limited edition steelbook, as well as Tommy Boy is getting the new steelbook edition. Pulp Fiction is getting a limited edition steelbook release. And Black Christmas is getting the 4K treatment. The original, I believe it's the original, not the newer stupid one.
Okay.
We also have, I gotta go find out who's putting this out so I can watch it. Phil Tippett's Mad God, which is, Phil Tippett is one of the puppeteers that worked on Jurassic Park, Star Wars. You've seen him in some of the documentaries you watched. We were watching Industrial Light and Magic. He was the one that was the big bearded guy.
Yes.
And they tricked him into doing was doing the dinosaurs, and then kind of got bumped when they started using CGI.
Yeah.
He has a movie called Mad God that's a stop motion anime style that he's been working for
a
decades.
long time. Yeah.
It's finally been released. I want to see it. So it looks like it's coming out, so I got to figure it out. South Park specials post-COVID and the return of COVID are getting released, which there were 2 specials they put on Paramount Plus. And the Nicolas Cage movie's adaptation is getting released.
Okay. Well, there we go.
I got to see who's putting this out so I can reach out.
Okay, so let's talk about theater and online. Coming out on Tuesday on Video Demand and Digital is a movie called Renegades. It has Danny Trejo, so I don't even care what it's about. I'm watching it, but it's about a Green Beret as murdered, and then there's a drug cartel, and special forces comes in. It's all over the place, but we need to find this movie. Also on Video Demand and Digital, Accidental Family. This lady is mistaken for a long-lost relative in the family, but I guess she ends up falling in love with the guy, which makes it all awkward. Who knows? One of those romantic Christmas things. Video Demand and Digital, a movie called De-Influencer. A cheerleader is kidnapped and forced to do some things on social media to be able to free herself, essentially, but she becomes a de-influencer. Who knows? It sounds strange. It might work. Also on Video Demand and Digital, this is still on Tuesday, a movie called Railway Children, and it's a group of children who are escaping their village during World War II, so it could be interesting. And also on Tuesday, Reflections of a Broken Memory. Okay, Jay has no idea why there is a dead body on the floor inside his house, and the police are there. So he has to figure out what's going on because he can't remember. All right, coming out on Netflix on Wednesday is a movie called Burning Patience. It's this guy who dreams of becoming a poet, and I feel like this is a foreign film, maybe in Spanish. So if you're interested, check that out. Coming out on Friday. Here we go, Friday. Coming to Disney Plus. This is the new Night at the Museum, Kumarana Rising. I said that wrong. Kamunra.
Kamunra.
Yeah, I don't know. But this is now the son of
Ben Stiller.
Ben Stiller.
I guess.
It says that. Larry's son Nick.
It's an animated
feature.
For Disney Plus.
I'm looking excited. Coming to Apple TV Plus, I don't know how this is going to do. This is the new film starring Will Smith called Emancipation. It's based on the true story of a runaway slave who tries to reach the Union Army.
And it's directed by Anton Fuqua. So I was already in from the Anton Fuqua thing. I was a Will Smith fan, like most people, before the slap stuff. I'm still a Will Smith fan.
And I know he put out a statement to not let that affect the movie.
Well, no, that's not what he said. He said he doesn't want it to affect the movie because the movie's so much bigger than him.
Yeah.
But he also said he understands that people won't watch the movie.
Yeah, I'm conflicted.
I'm not conflicted because I separate the art from the people. That's just what I do. Same thing with watching.
I mean, I do. I try
Mel
to.
Gibson movies, or I may not like.
I think I'm not over it yet. is the thing. I think I'm not over it.
I think it was a horrible situation, but I also thought immediately, Will Smith is going through some crap, and
yeah,
it doesn't justify what he did. But and he finally came out and said what I've been saying the whole time is he wasn't slapping Chris Rock, he was slapping a lot of things.
Yeah.
And he has
admitted he has issues with.
Well, he did. He said I was going through some things, and there was a lot built up, and it doesn't justify it, but it is what it is. But
I just think violence towards your own people is even worse.
I agree, and
I know that
my biggest issue.
And
with
it's not my people, but it is.
But my biggest issue with that whole situation, outside the obvious part, was that he should have been thrown out.
Correct.
I didn't even care that he won the award.
If anybody else had done it, they would have been.
They should have tossed him out. And I think that caused a big. Anyway, moving on.
So I think,
but I am looking forward to this.
I think that's some of the conversation surrounding the movie when it should be the story of this.
And I think this probably would have been another, from what I've been hearing about it, this might have been another Oscar-nominated style thing.
But now,
and he still can be nominated, and he just still win. He just can't go.
For how many years? 10 years?
Something like that.
Okay.
We're going to talk about that.
Are we
next
talking
week.
about this one?
No, go back.
This one?
Go back down.
This one?
That one. I know this is limited, but we're going to watch it.
We're going to be talking about the movie Empire of Light. I'm really excited because it's Olivia Colman, and I've been hearing good things.
It's also got
Colin Firth. Yeah. So I'm all in.
We have it already. I've seen it already, but
it's
I will just tell you this.
Story, is what it is
one of my favorite movies of the year.
Is it? You've already seen this?
This is the one that I saw the double feature with this and Banshees of Inisherin.
Is it really a love story?
It is, but not in the way you think. It's a heavy, yes, it's a heavy movie.
Oh goodness!
But it's such a good movie.
Okay, are we talking about this yet? Not yet.
Unless they send it to me, which I'm hoping they do.
Coming to Shudder. I hope we can see this. Christmas, Bloody Christmas. Because you know me, I love me a Christmas horror film.
That was offered to me and I passed.
It's this girl gets drunk at a party, and there's a robotic Santa in a store that is like on a killing spree. Robot Santa. Don't know, but you know what? I'm there for it. And also coming to Disney Plus, it's an Idina Menzel documentary. So if you're interested in that, coming to video demand and digital, something called NR10. Gunter, abandoned in the woods, no memory of his childhood. A man approaches us on the streets and says he can reveal his past. Coming to Netflix, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio.
I think it's a stop motion.
Okay, this is a dark, twisted retelling of the fairy tale.
Can I also say, speaking of Netflix,
yes,
there's a movie that I really want to watch on there that just came up called Troll.
Okay.
That it's like a kaiju troll style large creature thing, and apparently it's shot to like #1 on Netflix.
Oh, well, we'll go.
It just came out this week. I'm very excited to watch
it right now when we're making dinner. Okay, coming to Hulu, It's a Wonderful Binge. All drugs and alcohol are legal on the day of the binge. Haven't we seen this?
No, but I think
I wonder if this Trejo.
Is this a sequel to that other one when they did that binge?
Yes.
Because the binge was the one that was on Hulu where the kids could party all night.
Yes, they could party all night.
So
and
let me look it up.
Legal.
I wonder if this is a sequel to that.
Yes. Several years after their first binge, best friends come together. We
liked the first one because it was like The Purge, but there was a binge.
Amidst the chaos, he plans to propose to his girlfriend Sarah, dealing with relationships. Will they survive this holiday season? Binge was a good movie. It was crazy but fun, if I'm remembering.
It was stupid, but yeah, it was.
The binge. Yep. So this says years after.
Release, yeah.
Several years after the first binge. Okay, so
well, we're gonna watch that.
Go watch binge, then watch It's a Wonderful Binge.
So this next one, even though we've seen this.
This?
Yes.
Oh.
This is the Mark Wahlberg Priest movie.
Yes, I remember that.
So the re-releasing Father Stu.
Okay.
And the reason it's called Reborn because the original movie came out. It's Mark Wahlberg, Mel Gibson, about this guy that was a fighter, became a boxer, became a priest. But the original movie was rated R.
Yeah.
Because of the content. They recut it to make a PG-13 version so that more people could see it. Churches might feel more comfortable showing it.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Wahlberg paid for this movie. That's how much of this movie he believes in.
He was so in.
They recut it so they could release a more family.
He is a very, very devout Catholic. And so
this is
for that movie.
This is a re-release, kind of a family re-release version of the same movie.
We'll watch it.
Especially for the holiday season.
Okay, coming to video demand and digital, Detective Night Redemption. So this is the Bruce Willis movie because there was a Detective Night, right?
Well, I don't know if this is the first or the second one.
This is in the second film of the action-packed trilogy.
I never saw the first one come out.
This says it's going to be a trilogy. This is the second film.
I know, and then so I'm torn on this because Bruce Willis has a couple of different trilogies coming out, but he can't act anymore because of his brain problem, or he's not supposed to be acting. So I don't know how long ago he shot these. I don't know. They're not coming out like they say they're coming out. Like there's another movie that I don't know. I'm so confused.
Oh well, it's online.
He has a movie coming out with John Travolta that's fixing to come out that I think they're supposed to send me. I don't know. I'm so confused.
Okay, coming to Prime Video. This is still on Friday. Something from Tiffany's. It's a woman who gets an engagement ring that's meant for someone else. So she takes it, tries to find out who it is, and takes it back, and then finds out she's actually in love with this guy and thinks they should be together forever. So who knows how that's going to work out. Coming to video, demand, and digital is a movie called Black Warrant. It's Cam Gigante as a special ops assassin for the DEA or something, and I don't know. We'll try to check it out. He was really good. He was in that Cam Gigante.
Oh yeah, he was in Violent Night.
Not even his name.
Yes, he was in Violent Night. I didn't even realize it.
He was good.
He played like an action star that was like
cool.
A loser. Apparently, there's a Detective Night Independence is the other one.
Oh, okay. Well, we got to go find it. Also on video demand, so many movies this weekend. Divorce Bait. A happily married housewife posts on social media that her and her husband are getting divorced. And so now people start reaching out to hook up. So strange. Oscar Run. I don't think y'all care about that. That gets us through the week. There you go.
I'm just stuck on this Detective Night thing. And they're not going to be good, but...
Okay. Well,
was it my turn?
Yeah, it's your turn. That's everything.
Right, so,
Tons of stuff.
Contest this week. We have most of the same stuff, but we do have a new one added. Do you even have those ready today?
I do.
Okay. I didn't know. We were running behind. We were trying to do a bunch of stuff and didn't have time. We still got copies of Alienoid and 3,000 Years of Longing. We got copies of Don't Worry, Darling and Easter Sunday.
That Don't Worry, Darling got me.
And one of the new additions is we have copies of Nope.
Nope.
As well as The Witch, the other one, number 2, whatever the hell it's called.
Excuse me.
You were disgusting.
I'm so sorry. Please excuse me.
And that's what's happening right now.
All right. Well, that's it for today's show. You have anything else you want to share?
I think I'm good.
We had a good theater experience at the Alamo Drive House. Had chips and queso. They have the best salted caramel shakes.
Who did? Oh,
we did. And like you said, there was
only we shifted. We canceled our AMC Stubs account after
the
last
AMC. It's too
we
much.
officially moved to the AMC season pass, the Alamo season pass. And it's got its perks just like the other one. The big difference, you watch a movie a day as opposed to 3 movies a week. And it's the same price. It's actually a little cheaper because you can add on. It's $19.99 a month. Then you add on one person, it's only $18.99 a month for the other person. And it's one billing. You don't have separate accounts like AMC. We had 2 separate accounts, so 2 separate billings. Bills. Everything's on one. So when you book it, it books. You pick 2 tickets, books for 2 people.
Nice.
And you only got to show them one thing. The other thing is it does earn points. So it just tells you, hey, you've earned this many points, and you total up, and I guess you can use them for buying crap or whatever.
Yeah, I gotta block these people are posting XXX stuff.
So maybe I get some more views. But the other side of it too that I like is if you've never been to an Alamo, it's awesome because you don't have to go show anybody. You just go sit down in your theater, and when your server comes, you're like, look, here's my ticket. Okay, and you move on. There's no going to the box office, show your ID, like.
Nobody, and we know people there.
If they ask for it, then if they ask for it, you can show it to them, obviously. But
anyway, all right, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Check out our website, HollywoodMatrimony.com. Go find us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Hive once it's back up and running at Hollywood Matter.
Can I also tell you just a funny headline I just got?
Yeah.
So the Brazil Comic Con, it's been going on, and they dropped the new Indiana Jones trailer. They dropped Guardians of the Galaxy 3 trailer. They did a big John Wick panel. I don't know if you saw where I posted the new poster. John Wick forward. They was close to his face.
I did.
This is the thing I just got from Lionsgate. It's basically about the panel they did.
Oh.
And it says Keanu Reeves gives Big Wick energy.
Okay.
At Brazil's comic with action-packed John Wick Chapter 4 panel. And I saw a clip from part of it where everybody's cheering him. Like Keanu Reeves got down on his knees and was like doing this.
That's
like the I'm not worthy thing. So anyway, that was a funny headline.
All right.
Moving on. We will see you all next week as usual. Peace and love, children.
Bye.